We're
2
live.
p.m. Actually, a little later than 2 p.m. because we were just nailing what we're gonna talk about today. Witz and Weiss on Talking Human, and our
Hmm.
promise. What's our promise? To bring up some interesting topics about work, leadership, love, spirituality, and anything else that pops out of our little heads.
Exactly.
Greg?
Today we're going to talk about masterminds, right? The value of masterminds, coaching, what people need to know about them and not know about them. And I think that topic's coming off because you just went to a mastermind. So let me tee that up. Mike, you are very pro masterminds. You've been involved in them for a long time. You run your own mastermind. So, let's start. You were just at one last week. What was it? And what was it about? And what did we take
Yes.
away from it?
So I'm actually just thinking about it as you said that I'm pro coaching. So after September, I think before September 11th, I gravitated towards like asshole coaches that
Mhm.
were basically my lacrosse coaches and my athletic coaches, and they were good. I don't mind the asshole coach barking as loud as they can in my ear, smacking me in the head, and yelling at me to get the best out of me. Um, so that was like external. And then after September 11th, I went on a bit of a different direction because I was there. I lost a lot of friends, and then I started getting coaches. And I think the big difference was it was internal. I wanted to learn and grow, and so during the last 20 years, I've had a lot of coaches. So you and I have spoke about this. You know that Kabbalah. I've been studying for 22 years. Landmark education. I told you did, and you kind of had a chuckle with that one. Uh, um, Theta healing. I've gotten certified in theta healing. I mean, a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Right.
In business, it's kind of odd for a leader because there's not that many places. It's not like that many places for all of us to sort of hang out and share what's working, what's not, frustrations and challenges. And
Hmm.
that's where these categories of masterminds have come up. So who was the guy that? It's one of the
Is that
old
what
school.
that's what a mastermind is, right? It's by definition the sharing of minds and sharing of wins and challenges and experiences and peer-to-peer learning. Is that a fair way to describe it?
Yeah, but we're not. I'm not doing an injustice because the person who invented it is one of the great writers from the early on. I'm trying to look it up.
Who the person that invented masterminds?
Yeah, and really wrote about them. Basically,
Yeah,
it's the
because
power of
it's a recent. I mean, it's only a few
Napoleon.
years
No,
old. But they've become
Napoleon Hill.
popular.
No, Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. He was the one that
Napoleon.
invented masterminds.
He basically 75 years ago he talked about it, and he kind of cultivated that back in Think and Go Rich. And so the idea behind the mastermind group is the idea of Mashiach coming, which is the neural network of the world coming together to end pain and suffering. A mastermind is a neural network of people coming together to help each other accelerate the growth of their business, either through direct interaction, teaching, sharing, and opening up really the network to help everyone grow. So it does need to be the right people. Givers are what you're looking for. Takers, no place
Mm.
for them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they kind of sneak in because they know this mastermind board of advisors, Mike Calhoun's awesome. He's running it. It's 4 years. I started out, I think it was 20 grand a year. Now it's up to 30 grand a year. It's four times we meet a year in
Mhm.
Sarasota in the Westin. It's basically all day Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, half day Friday, half day Monday. And he's grown it from, I think when I went there, it was like 30 or 40, but there's about 130 people there. And
So 30 grand, okay, for the year, four
mhm.
get-togethers. And like I look, I'm not shooting it down, no masterminds, but like I want to ask the question, like, what else do you get from this mastermind? I mean, is there support and networking and relationships and connection and tools and resources in between these get-togethers?
Yeah, oh, sure. Yes. I mean, he's actually built, he used to build websites and an agency. So he built the back end that is the membership site. It's really amazing. You can make introductions. They do your psychodemographics so you can see which people are which. He, he proactively is a leader of the group. So he's literally putting people together that can do business together. The,
Mhm,
I guess the ROI of something like this is one, you learn. Two, one connection, one introduction, one relationship can change the trajectory of a company completely.
mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
not it's like six figures, seven figures type of thing. So he um, just shared his way of communicating the value of the mastermind as he equates to, okay, let's just take a $3,000 a month person, and that's $36,000 for the year for a very average person in the United States now. So you have a choice. You can take the money and hire a very average person that basically will add no value to your company, or you can take the money and have the opportunity to radically grow your company in partnerships and create lifelong friendships. So
mhm.
it's interesting how he relates that now.
You
Uh,
just said something which I want to switch gears on you for a second. So, the value of this in a lot of cases, which is as entrepreneurs, the goal is to scale and grow our businesses. And the challenge that I think the majority of us have is hiring the right people, right? And you hire cheap, you get cheap. You hire expensive doesn't mean you necessarily get the results, right? There's a time for that team member, that employee to become productive and to perform, right? I think it's 8 to 12 months before we could start to see a return, and that's if they're actually performing within the role. So this becomes like an exercise right now, and I'm doing this in my own business. I've transitioned from going from quite heavy employee model, right? Teams, sales groups, marketing, right? Admin, et cetera, to now starting to outsource that through relationships. One of them being, which is yours. I mean, you manage and help and run all of my LinkedIn stuff. Which in a lot of cases I don't think I'd be able to one, either afford that pure role or find someone with that skill. So really, like the what they don't always express in masterminds is, the exercise here is to create partnerships and connections. I just interviewed someone the other day. His name's Nick. He's a retired Marine, crazy guy. Awesome story. Talks a lot about men's health and stress and resilience and focus and performance. And we were talking about, and he has this line which was like, your net worth is your network is your net worth. Yeah, your network is your net worth. And really start to expand upon that, which is this is what success is going to be. It's our relationships. I call it the relationship economy, but that's what masterminds are very much bringing here.
yeah, I mean the yeah. I'll give you a for instance. I can't remember his name. He's a PhD doctor. There's a woman from Tampa that's running a hiring agency that's just gotten nominated for the business of the year in Tampa. She's on the Forbes 500. She's crushing it. I mean, her company is going like a rocket ship. Um, and she's an employment agency, and she's got a human model that you and I would both appreciate. So she brought with her a guy that they're going to do a strategic partnership with, and he's a PhD, and I guess he has by default the longest and the biggest survey in history on millennials. He started it like a decade ago. He was only going to get like 1,000 people in the study. Now it's 40,000 people have participated in the study, which is a enormous subset. And he spoke. He's a bald-headed guy. He's kind of built filled with like energy, and his presentation was chock full of data because he's surveying people that are the millennials and the business owners that hire millennials. And for 50% of the data he gave, I was totally in line with, which basically millennials are a pain in the ass to work with, hire, understand, blah, 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 blah. and
Correct.
and
As you're
the
talking about millennials, this is what's going through my head. I'm like, oh no, here we go. Right?
yeah, so this is the most incredible data because basically the reason why I was correlated to half the data is because most all of the business owners, when they were surveyed, described millennials with those adjectives. And then when millennials described themselves, they were completely the opposite adjectives. They were, conscientious and hard workers. And so, well, that is common sense, how you might, view yourself. But here's the thing, and this is what like a mastermind can do. It can change one teaching can change a framework of how you see things. Here's the part that was um, quite outstanding: is that while the millennials voted themselves as like strong advocates for work and this and that, which maybe you would not agree, the piece of the puzzle that mostly like 85 or 90% of the millennials said was that, and this is like 40,000 study, is that they want to be trained, they want to be coached, they want comprehensive programs in the workplace to help them exceed. They respect older management. They want to literally learn what elders know. And so this guy, in talking about this study, basically then rated the corporate executives training programs, leadership programs. So the millennials are at a 10 from a desire standpoint, and basically corporate leadership is at like a 1. They suck. Mostly all the corporations have nothing for them. So this is his mission. This is his whole mission, is to help organizations understand how to put in place processes and systems to allow this generation, which
Mhm.
he feels is one of the most talented and powerful generations, step up
Mhm.
into their glory. So
Can I
fascinating,
just
right?
share? Yeah. So yeah, I know we started on masterminds and stuff, and I just want to share some thoughts about generations. I and my organization have done a tremendous amount of work for a long time, understanding the generational conversation when it first started to pop up. And we started to go through the early days, the definitions of each generation, right? So, you got your boomers, your Xers, your millennials, which are the Ys, the Zs, which we've, right? After the Zs, we got our alphas, which are the Google kids. And then you got into defining the differences, and then you got into defining how they sort of like to be managed and differently, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, after years and years of work and research, what all started to point was there's a secret behind the generational conversation. And the secret, which is proven by the research, says that there is no actual difference between the generations in the way we traditionally define them. What there is a difference in is how they were raised. So the bigger impact for generational differences isn't what year you were born, right? It's how you were raised and what you experienced. And what we also started to acknowledge was that the younger generations obviously had a much softer, more paved, easier way. And depending on, and in fact, there were two millennials, there were the Y1s and the Y2s. The Y1s were very eager, what you were talking about, to get involved, but trained, coached, developed, they want to learn. And then there was a second half, which were the younger Ys, which were the opposite, which they defined as the Y generation or the entitled generation. Even more so interesting is what we see today is the Zs. And the Zs have watched their parents, their older siblings, their ones that have come before them make a tremendous amount of mistakes financially, not saving, spending, being in an instant sort of, need, instant gratification, and are operating differently, and now starting to look at things like financial investments and stability and building financial wealth at a very, very young early age. So it's an interesting conversation. By the way, I have to shout out to one of the people you just saw pop up in the comments, Rich Padulo. I've known Rich for a very long time, haven't seen him, and he just popped up acknowledging the fact that our network is our net worth. So nice to see you. Nice to have you join the show.
Rich. Hey, Richie. Thanks for popping
so,
in.
Let's come back to Mastermind.
So, Craig, talk about Mastermind. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce you to Doc. You'll love the guy. Okay. And there literally is a lot there. I mean, look, we're in live Mastermind, because the Mastermind, even though I was enveloped in a whole week together, people, you get 12 or 14-minute presentations and Q&As. If you need help, you're on stage, you talk, everyone has shifts. But now it's carried forward, because now I just ignited the fact that you guys have to meet, because, they're going to go and look to develop some programs. And if you're aligned with his thoughts, then it could be an amazing partnership, because you guys can create some programs together. And your organization is amazing at it's the application of the information, which is all that matters, because no one needs more information, even if it's the right information. If you don't apply it, then nothing's going to happen. So to the extent that they're like, all right, look, this is what a leadership program has to look at, and then you can ignite the 475 millennials because they want this, and then management says this. Nothing's getting done without bringing in Witz. So Witz can actually workshop people into action.
Right. But you just said something there, and this is one of my frustrations being in the industry, is that there is so much out there from thought leadership, masterminds, coaching, learning, training, but I don't know if people actually see it all the way through. They might go and do the course, join the mastermind, and the information was good, and it sounded, like it's going to be more successful. But then the application of that is very, very, very difficult. It's almost, you said something, I'll never forget this, when it was one of our early conversations when we met. You're like, do you know, what is it, like 3% of people complete online programs?
3 to 12%.
3 to
12%.
And I just poured my guts into developing an online program, because in my mind, this was going to be the answer. But it's kind of the same thing, it's the course might be there, but it's whether you complete it and whether you actually push through. So on that note, what advice would you give to people if they're going to join a mastermind? How do they successfully go and live and apply the stuff afterwards?
Okay, if you're going to join a mastermind, don't join it unless you preview it, right? Most people, if you negotiate with them, you'll be able to go spend a day or two. You might have to give a deposit, but if it's not for you, they'll give the money back. But go there and drop yourself in, because the defining part of the mastermind is going to be the people. If you're down with the people and like, these are my people, then you've probably found some place that's going to provide some real benefit. But if it's not, then you're not going to be happy. So that would be number one, to do that. There's a lot of masterminds, right? My background's a little different than yours. I'm more of an online marketing guy, and Digital Marketer is a big organization, and I built their certification programs, traffic and conversions, their event with like up to 7,000 people at their peak. Like, that's my world. And inside of that world, there's real estate trainers, there's digital agencies, there's fitness and health and mindset, like a gazillion. I was partnering with John Astroff also. Masterminds are huge in that world. Not so big in the business world, but in the smallpreneur online world, it's huge. It's part of a funnel if you want to get the absolute truth as a digital marketer. Not for board of advisors, because it's solely the only thing he does, Mike Calhoun, and he does it great. And like the budget, his audio visual budget, Greg, you would love it. I mean, it's just, he's got like 12 people on the board at the event, like 4 or 5 cameras. and they actually are recording this stuff, and they put all the stuff in the portal for you. They get professional cameramen taking, shots that are professional shots in the portal for you. It's the only thing he does. But from an online marketing perspective, the way it usually works is there's a low price product. They call it a tripwire. So it's something like 19 or 27 or 47 bucks, like an ebook with a video training. And then they try to get you into a $500 or $1,000 course. Then they try to get you into like a step up to a 2,000 course. And then they can get you into a group coaching program. And then group coaching, that from there leads into the mastermind, which is, most people's masterminds are, 10 or 20 or 30 people, but they're usually around, anywhere from $12 to $25,000, and they meet most times 4 times a year with that live component. And in between, they do meet as virtually. So it's part of the funnel. And you think about it, 10 people at 20 grand, it's 200 grand. That's pretty good. That's your top end of your funnel. And so bottom line is go and experience the people. That's what's going to matter. You have to have an environment where it's givers, not takers. And, it's been interesting to see over the last 4 years as people that penetrated board of advisors, and he does an amazing job, but you can't know everything, and they're in there and they just work the system and they try to exploit and take. And then inevitably it becomes obvious and they get bounced out. So that's that. In terms of what was your other question? How to implement?
Yeah, no. The question was like, what advice would you give to people if they want to join a mastermind? Which I think was what you just did, which is go and ask to spend some time, feel it out, check it out. But the other side to that coin, I heard you say, was make sure that you're going in with the mindset and the attitude of I'm here to serve, I'm here to give, I'm here to learn, I'm here to participate. And it's really operating with the focus of community, right? Which is, this isn't about a individual or a solo exercise, which is, these are called the vampires that end up in here and they try to, take advantage and take versus give. So that's it. The other question, which was, okay, so if I do all of that, I'm in the community, what would be some best practices for me to go and do afterwards to actually be able to ensure that I'm implementing the learning, I'm actioning some of the advice and the resources? Because the failure in these things is people go and they learn, but they don't do anything, right? So you're a pretty disciplined guy. What do you do? How do you ensure that you're not just going to go and listen to it and not do anything with it?
So yeah, that's a big one. And when you go to like an event, so there's like an event on leadership, and organizations go, and it's 2 or 3 days. You get overwhelmed with information. There's great speakers. Not so different from spending almost a week away at a mastermind. The mastermind, since a portion of it is about also consummating potentially business. I mean, some people, they're there just to give because they're worth 400 or 500 million. There's new companies and they're raising money there. But for me and for some of the people, we want to do business in there. You've got to get away from the I was just there and now it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, feeling self-conscious about following up, because this is the number one rule since the day of the caveman. The money's in the follow-up. Right? You went to the next cave over and you said, hey, you got any figs for me? And they were like, no figs. And if you wanted to live, the money's in the follow-up. So crucial.
So that's good advice, which is, follow up. And if we were to define or paraphrase that more, follow up in the relationships that you built, right? Set some time up to connect, schedule some things to go and implement and do. And I think the thing that I would add to that is we put too much expectation on ourselves in order to do everything well right up front. And it's baby steps, it's micro actions. If you could have the discipline to go and use the template for the first week, 5 days, right, you've given yourself a way better chance to move on to some of the next stuff. So start small and be consistent in those actions. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
I'll because we're at our stated time. I'll sum it up and I'll let then you take us away. We brought up today the idea of the mastermind, and I just want to also share that that's a lot of money and that's a big investment, and you got to be in a position to do that. However, you have a platform that's absolutely outrageous and it's free, which is called LinkedIn, and which literally gives you pound for pound the same amount of punching power. The philosophy's got to be the same. It's not what you get, it's what you give. But the opportunity is wide open for you to spend 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 minutes a day. It's just time. The platform's free. You don't have to pay. And just go and poke around to people that you want in your network and share something positive. Share something that they wrote. Say hi. You got a great article that has to do with somebody else's industry. Say, I read this great article. Here's the link. I wanted to share it with you. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity on LinkedIn now. And, I think most people aren't seeing it for what it is, which is the ultimate networking platform that Microsoft and LinkedIn is providing us. So that would be my takeaway is that take action, if it's 5 minutes, do one a day, or 10 minutes, two a day, or 3 a day. Find a, if you're into getting into a mastermind, find a few and then start the conversation. It doesn't have to happen fast. It's big money. Go preview one or two, find out what you love, and go from there.
Yeah, awesome. In fact, that's the conversation we had in your group last week, which was the power of LinkedIn's gone from a resume holder to the ultimate networking business development platform. And, we were talking about the generational conversation. Before LinkedIn, before the internet, we used to pick up the phone, right? And you would get either lists because you would buy it, or you would literally open the phone book. Or what I used to do was I would drive, and I'd see like office names, company names, and find the phone number and find the purchaser, and you would call. And there was a good chance you didn't get through the first couple times, but you kept on calling. That was the follow-up, right? You just called and called and called and called.
Money's in the follow-up.
Right. And if you're going to do the networking thing, I think one of the things that will cut through a lot of the noise is when it's an authentic follow, where you have reached out to someone on the network, you have checked out their stuff, you have read the article, and then you're genuinely sort of commenting or replying or sending them a message to that note, instead of sort of the generic in-mail automated campaign of, hi, I'd like to join your network. Hi, this is my service. So, it's a very powerful tool, and it needs to be treated as a networking outreach tool, right? It's not this thing that's going to do it for you. Relationships take time. I talk about the relationship economy, 18 months, right? So go the distance with people and stay the course.
Authentic.
Awesome.
I think that's when we met, I think we both felt the same. Our families met on the beach in Costa Rica, and that's what it starts with, is being authentic.
Yeah. Well, we met, listen, back to the outreach and the networking, was we were literally at the beach club, right? Got chatting just the way you normally sort of chat with people if you're out in public somewhere. And then you start to, there was a connection, there was authenticity, and there was a follow-up. There was a continuation of putting effort into the relationship from both parties. And I think that's the way we need to look at business development and sales, which is once you commit to going the distance with the relationship, I need to take those actions. Anyway, maybe we'll talk more about this next week. But do you want to check out any of the comments and respond to them? Anything's jumping out at you?
Let's see. No, I think we got, there's a lot of comments, but let's end it. Let's get ready. Next week, we'll have the next Talking Human with Witz and Weiss in between the shows, right? We're here every Monday. It's a show. It's a programmatic show. Send Greg or I a message on LinkedIn and say, hey, can you cover this or cover that? Because we're here to add value. We certainly don't have all the topics that you might want to hear, and prod us. Jump on when we're on, send us a message. We're getting them. Be engaged, be involved, and we're here to hopefully come up with one thought or one idea that's going to add value for your week. I'm out. It's Weiss out. Witz, you want to take us home?
I'm out. Thanks for joining today's show. If you liked it, don't forget to like it. Don't forget to share it. Don't forget to join us next week. And more importantly, if you got questions that we can help answer, send us a DM and we'll chat you next week. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy.
Talking human.